The alarm woke Taiyang from a restless sleep. He rolled out of his bunk and grabbed his uniform, moving through the motions he had done 1,000 times before. The security chief's quarters on Haven's Edge were small, just like everything else on the station. Humans had learned to live in tight spaces when they went to the stars. He reached the command center in 3 minutes. Commander Jiho was already there, staring at the main screen with tired eyes. The man always looked tired these days. Running a research station at the edge of known space was not an easy job. "What do we have?" Taiyang asked. "Distress beacon. Unknown vessel, heavily damaged. About 2 hours away at current drift." Jiho rubbed his face. "The signal is weak. Life signs are faint." Taiyang studied the readings. The ship was small, maybe a transport or refugee vessel. Its hull was breached in multiple places. Whatever had happened to it had been violent. "Do we know what species?" he asked. "Not yet. The database can't match the ship design." Jiho turned to look at him. "Protocol says we report it and wait for the Galactic Patrol." That would take 3 days minimum. I know. They both knew what 3 days meant for anyone still alive on that ship. Taiyang had been a Marine before taking this job. He had seen what happened when help came too late. "We have to bring them in," Taiyang said. Jiho was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Get a team ready. And wake up Minji. If there are survivors, we will need a xenobiology expert." 2 hours later, Taiyang stood in the docking bay as the damaged ship was pulled inside. The rescue team had found it tumbling through space, its engines dead and hull cracked like an egg. Minji stood beside him, her medical scanner already in hand. "I am reading 6 life forms," she said. "All small. Maybe children, based on the size." The bay finished pressurizing. Taiyang opened the airlock carefully, his weapon ready. He did not expect trouble from a damaged refugee ship, but years of training had taught him to be prepared. The inside of the ship was a nightmare. Blood on the walls, not red like human blood, but a strange blue-green color. Claw marks scored the metal. And in the cargo hold, huddled together in a corner, were 6 small aliens. They looked like nothing Taiyang had ever seen. Their skin was pale gray, covered in soft fur. They had large eyes, black and shining with fear. Each one was maybe 3 feet tall, with delicate limbs and small hands that clutched at each other. "Cubs," Minji whispered beside him. "They are children." The creatures stared at them without moving. One of them made a soft sound, like a whimper. Taiyang lowered his weapon slowly and held up his empty hands. "It is okay," he said, knowing they could not understand his words, but hoping his tone would help. "We are here to help." It took an hour to coax them out of the ship. Minji did most of the work, moving slowly and speaking in soft tones. She had a gift for this kind of thing. Finally, the cubs allowed themselves to be led to the medical bay. Dr. Hannah was waiting there. She was young for a station medical officer, but good at her job. She looked at the 6 aliens with wide eyes. "I have never treated this species before," she admitted. "None of us have," Minji said. "The database has no match. We will have to figure it out as we go." Over the next few hours, they learned what they could. The cubs needed a nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere, slightly different from what humans breathed, but manageable. They were malnourished and dehydrated. Most importantly, they were terrified. "They have not spoken a word," Hannah said to Taiyang later. "Not even to each other. Just silence. Trauma," Minji explained. She was running tests on samples, trying to understand their biology. Something terrible happened to them. Look at the scars on their bodies. These are recent injuries, barely healed. Taiyang examined the data she showed him. Burns, cuts, impact wounds. These children had been through hell. What about the adults? Were there no parents on that ship? Minji shook her head. "We found remains. 3 adults, all dead for several days based on decomposition. The cubs had been alone on that ship, drifting through space with no one to care for them. That night, Taiyang could not sleep. He went to the observation room where Minji had set up temporary quarters for the cubs. Through the window, he could see them huddled together on the floor, even though beds had been provided. They slept in a pile, the way frightened animals do, seeking comfort in closeness. Minji was there too, watching them with sad eyes. "I accessed some galactic news feeds," she said quietly. "There was a report 3 weeks ago. An entire world destroyed. The species was called Velith. The planet was attacked by unknown forces. There were very few survivors." "These are Velith cubs?" "I think so. The physical description matches." She pointed to one of the sleeping children. "That one keeps touching a small object. I think it is a photo or memory device, maybe from their family." Taiyang felt something cold settle in his stomach. Who destroys an entire world? I do not know. But whoever did it, they were thorough. The reports say there were only scattered groups of refugees who escaped. Most of them have disappeared since then. Disappeared? No one knows where they went. Ships leave safe ports and never arrive at their destinations. Distress beacons that suddenly go silent. Minji turned to look at him. "I think someone is hunting the survivors." Before Taiyang could respond, alarms began to blare throughout the station. His communicator came to life with Jiho's voice. "All senior staff to command center immediately. We have incoming vessels." They ran through the corridors. When they reached the command center, Yuna, the communication specialist, was frantically working her console. Her face was pale. 3. Ships just dropped out of faster-than-light travel, she said. "Massive signatures bigger than anything in our database. They are heading straight for us." On the main screen, 3 enormous shapes appeared. They were black and angular, covered in what looked like armor plates. Each ship was easily 10 times the size of Haven's Edge. "Are they responding to hails?" Jiho asked. "No response yet to standard greetings," Yuna said. "Wait, I am getting something now." The screen filled with static, then cleared. The face that appeared made everyone in the room take an involuntary step back. It was a nightmare given form. Massive jaws filled with teeth designed for tearing. Eyes that glowed with a predatory intelligence. Armored scales that looked like they could turn away any weapon. The creature smiled, and it was the smile of something that had never known fear. When it spoke, the translator struggled to keep up. The voice was deep, resonating with power and absolute confidence. "Human station, you have taken our property. 6 Velith juveniles. Return them immediately, or we will take them ourselves. You have 6 hours to comply." The screen went dark. In the silence that followed, Taiyang heard one of the junior officers whisper a question that everyone was thinking. "What are those things?" Minji answered, her voice barely above a whisper. "Apex predators. The kind that evolved at the top of the food chain and never came down." Taiyang looked at Jiho. The commander's face was gray with fear, but his jaw was set. "Start preparing the cubs for transfer," Jiho said quietly. "We cannot fight those things." "No," Taiyang said. Everyone turned to look at him. "I said no, Commander. We are not handing over children to those monsters." "Taiyang, be reasonable. We have no weapons that could even scratch those ships. Our crew is scientists and researchers, not soldiers." "I do not care." Taiyang's voice was calm but firm. "I have seen enough dead children in my life. I am not going to hand living ones over to be slaughtered. Then we will all die. Maybe, but at least we will die doing the right thing." The command center erupted in argument, but Taiyang was already leaving. He had 6 hours. 6 hours to figure out how a handful of humans on a research station could stand against monsters that hunted entire species to extinction. It was not enough time, but it would have to be. Do-hyun had been working on Haven's Edge for only 6 months. He was young, fresh from the security academy, and had never fired his weapon at anything except training targets. When Taeyang called him to the security office, his hands were shaking. "I need you to be honest with me," Taeyang said, looking at the younger man with steady eyes. "Are you willing to fight?" I do not know what we are fighting, sir. Does it matter?" Do-hyun thought about the 6 small aliens he had seen in the medical bay. One of them had looked at him with those big black eyes, and he had seen something there he recognized. Fear. The kind of fear he had seen in his little sister's eyes when she had nightmares. "No," he said finally. "It does not matter. I will fight." Taeyang nodded. "Good. Start taking inventory of every weapon we have. Mining lasers, welding torches, anything that can be used. We have 5 hours left." While Do-hyun worked, Yuna was trying to learn more about their enemy. She had sent queries through the Galactic network, asking about ships matching the description. The answers that came back made her blood run cold. "Commander Jiho," she called out. "I have information on our visitors." The command center gathered around her station. On the screen were reports from dozens of worlds, some going back centuries. "They call themselves the Krell," Yuna explained. "They are one of the oldest known species in the galaxy. They live for thousands of years and have perfect regeneration. Some reports say they cannot die from age or injury." "That is impossible," Hana said. "Maybe for us. Not for them." Yuna pulled up an image. They evolved on a death world, a planet where everything was trying to kill everything else. The Krell won. They became the ultimate hunters. And when they ran out of challenges on their home world, they went to the stars. Looking for what? Jiho asked, though his voice suggested he already knew the answer. New prey. They hunt other species for sport. Not for food, not for territory. Just for the thrill of the hunt. Yuna scrolled through more reports. There are records of dozens of species that have encountered them. The Krell follow a code. They never hunt adults who can fight back effectively. Only the weak. The young. The helpless. Minji spoke up from where she had been listening. The Velith cubs. They are prey to these creatures. Yes, and according to the galactic records, no one has ever successfully stopped the Krell from taking what they consider theirs by right of conquest. Yuna looked around at the gathered officers. Every species that has encountered them has chosen survival over confrontation. They negotiate, they pay tributes, they surrender what the Krell want. Because the alternative is extinction. So what you are saying, Taeyang said from the doorway, is that the entire galaxy is full of cowards. The entire galaxy is full of survivors, Jiho corrected. There is a difference, is there? The two men stared at each other. Finally, Jiho sighed. Taeyang, I understand how you feel. But we have 30 people on this station. 30 humans against ships that have terrorized the galaxy for centuries. We cannot win this. We do not have to win. We just have to not lose. That does not make any sense. It does to me. Taeyang turned to address everyone in the room. I am not ordering anyone to fight. This is not a military vessel, and you are not soldiers. But I am asking you to think about what kind of galaxy we are living in. One where children are hunted for sport while everyone else looks away, because it is safer that way. Hannah stepped forward. I will help. I cannot fight, but I can prepare the medical bay for casualties. I am with you too, Do-hyun said, entering the command center. I finished the inventory. We have 12 handheld pulse weapons, 6 mining lasers that can be repurposed, and enough welding equipment to arm half the station if we get creative. Minji nodded. The cubs should know someone tried to save them. Even if we fail, they deserve to know they were worth fighting for. One by one, more crew members spoke up. Engineers, scientists, researchers. People who had never expected to face violence stepped forward. By the time they finished, 23 of the 30 crew members had volunteered. Jiho looked at them all, his expression unreadable. You are all fools. Brave, honorable fools. He straightened his shoulders. Very well. If we are doing this, we do it properly. Taiyang, you have tactical command. Everyone else, follow his orders. The next 4 hours passed in a blur of activity. Taiyang organized the crew into defensive positions throughout the station. The mining lasers were mounted at key choke points. Blast doors were reinforced. Atmosphere controls were rigged to allow selective venting of sections. Minji worked with the Velith cubs, trying to explain what was happening. Even though they could not understand her words, she held up a recording device. I want you to speak, she said gently to the 6 children. Tell the device about yourselves. Your names, your families, anything you remember. If we do not make it, at least the galaxy will know you existed. You will not be forgotten. The cubs looked at each other. Then, for the first time since they had been found, one of them spoke. The voice was soft, musical, filled with sadness. The others joined in, each one adding their voice. Minji did not understand the words, but she understood the emotion, grief, loss, but also a hope. She sent the recording out on all frequencies. A message in a bottle cast into the vast ocean of space. In the command center, Yuna suddenly sat up straight. They are hailing us again. The screen flickered to life. The Krell face appeared, even more terrifying in its casual confidence. Humans, your time is almost finished. We detect preparations for resistance. This is foolish. We are Krell. We have hunted prey across 1,000 worlds. Your weapons cannot harm us. Your defenses are meaningless. Surrender the juveniles now, and we will allow you to live. Taiyang stepped in front of the camera. This is Security Chief Taiyang of Haven's Edge. I am speaking for the crew. Our answer is no. The Krell's eyes widened slightly, the first sign of surprise. You refuse? That is correct. The cubs stay with us. If you want them, you will have to come through us. You realize you are choosing death. We are choosing to protect children. If that means death, then so be it. For a long moment, the Krell simply stared. Then it made a sound that might have been laughter. Interesting. We have encountered many species, but few with such spirit. Very well, human. We accept your challenge. When we are finished with you, we will mount your skull in our trophy hall. You have earned that honor. I have one question before you attack, Taiyang said. Why hunt children? What glory is there in killing those who cannot fight back? The Krell's expression changed, becoming something almost thoughtful. You misunderstand. We do not hunt for glory. We hunt because it is our nature. The Velith cubs are prey. They were born to be prey. We are predators. We were born to hunt. This is the natural order. Then your natural order is wrong. Wrong? The Krell seemed genuinely puzzled by the concept. There is no wrong in nature. Only survival. Only the strong consuming the weak. Maybe in your nature, not in ours. The screen went dark. Alarms began to sound throughout the station. On the sensors, the 3 Krell ships were moving into attack positions. Yuna's voice was tight with fear. They are launching boarding pods. Multiple impacts expected in 30 seconds. Taiyang activated the station-wide intercom. This is it, everyone. Remember, we are not trying to win. We are trying to buy time. Every minute we hold them is a minute the cubs stay safe. Every second counts. Fight smart, fight dirty, and make them pay for every step. He looked at Jiho. The commander had armed himself with a pulse rifle, standing ready despite his earlier reluctance. Thank you, Taiyang said. Do not thank me yet. We might still all die for nothing. Nothing? We are standing between monsters and innocence. That is not nothing. That is everything. The first impact shook the station. Then the second. Then the third. 3 breach points, just as expected. Taiyang checked his weapon one last time. Through the station's internal cameras, he could see them coming. The Krell were even larger in person, each one standing nearly 8 feet tall. They moved with terrible grace, weapons in hand, armor gleaming, and they were smiling in the medical bay. Hana gathered the 6 Velith cubs close. I do not know if you understand me, she said softly, but there are people out there fighting for you. Good people. Remember them. The cubs huddled together, listening to the sounds of battle beginning to echo through the corridors. Outside, humans and Krell met for the first time in combat. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when you threatened something humanity had decided to protect. It was going to be bloody. It was going to be desperate. And it was going to be legendary. Asterisk. The first Krell through the breach point died to a mining laser blast that caught it by surprise. The creature's armor held for almost 2 seconds before the sustained beam cut through. It fell, and for a moment, the humans in that section allowed themselves to hope. Then they saw it start to move again. The wound was already closing, tissue knitting back together at impossible speed. Fall back. Taiyang screamed into the radio. Do not try to kill them, just slow them down. The team in Section 7 retreated, sealing blast doors behind them. The Krell tore through the doors in seconds, but those seconds mattered. Every delay counted. In Section 3, Do-Hyun had rigged the corridor with cutting torches set to automatic activation. When the Krell entered, flames erupted from all sides. The aliens roared in pain and anger, their regeneration struggling to keep up with the continuous burning. It bought the defenders 90 seconds before the Krell adapted, using their own bodies as shields to protect each other as they advanced. They learned fast, Do-Hyun reported, backing away as the Krell pushed forward. Too fast. Taiyang was in Section 5 with a team of engineers. They had turned the maintenance tunnels into a maze of traps. Exposed power conduits, pressurized gas lines, anything that could hurt or slow the enemy. A Krell rounded the corner, and Taiyang fired his pulse rifle. The shots hammered into the creature's chest, knocking it back but not down. It laughed, a deep rumbling sound that echoed through the corridor. You fight well, little human, but you cannot win. Taiyang triggered the trap. The floor beneath the Krell opened, and the creature fell 3 levels into a cargo bay. Before it could climb back out, Taiyang sealed the door and vented the atmosphere. Can you survive in vacuum? He muttered, already running to the next position. The answer came 5 minutes later, when the Krell punched through the cargo bay wall from the inside. Apparently, they could hold their breath for a very long time. In the command center, Jiho coordinated the defense, watching the station map as red icons advanced through the corridors. Each icon represented a Krell. There were 9 of them, 3 from each boarding pod. 9 against 23 humans, but the 9 were winning. Section 7 has fallen, Yuna reported. Team is retreating to Section 8. We have lost contact with 2 crew members. Section 3 reports heavy casualties, another voice added. Do-Hyun is wounded but still fighting. Jiho gripped the edge of his console. They had been fighting for only 20 minutes, and already they were being pushed back. The Krell were relentless, unstoppable. Every trap, every ambush bought time, but time was running out. Minji entered the command center, her face pale. The cubs are panicking. They can hear the fighting. They know what is happening. Keep them calm, Jiho said. We need to get them to the evacuation shuttle. That is the only plan that matters now. The route to the shuttle bay ran through Section 4. Taiyang was already there with his remaining team, setting up the final defensive line. If the Krell broke through here, they would reach the cubs. He would not let that happen. Hana arrived with 3 crew members carrying the Veleth cubs. The small aliens were terrified, clinging to their human protectors. One of them looked up at Taiyang with those huge black eyes, and he saw understanding there. The child knew what was coming. "Get them on the shuttle," Taiyang ordered. "Yuna, you go with them. Pilot the ship away from the station as fast as you can." "What about you?" Hana asked. "We are staying. Someone has to hold this position." "Taiyang, that is an order, Doctor. Those cubs need you alive." "They do not need me." He smiled, trying to make it reassuring. "Besides, I am too stubborn to die easy. Maybe I will catch up with you later." They both knew he was lying, but Hana did not argue. She herded the cubs toward the shuttle as Yuna began the pre-flight sequence. Do-hyun staggered into the section, blood streaming down his face. His left arm hung at an odd angle, clearly broken. But he still carried his weapon. "Report," Taiyang said. "Section 3 is lost. 4 crew members down, maybe dead. The Krell are coming this way. Maybe 3 minutes behind me. Can you still fight?" Do-hyun checked his weapon with his good hand. "I can pull a trigger. That is all we need, right?" Taiyang looked at the young security officer. 6 months ago, Do-hyun had been a kid fresh out of training. Now he stood ready to die protecting aliens he had met only hours earlier. "You are a good man, Do-hyun." "I learned from the best, sir." They took positions behind improvised barricades. 8 humans remained in Section 4, all that was left of the defensive teams. 8 humans against 9 Krell, who had torn through walls and traps like they were nothing. The odds were impossible. The outcome was certain. And yet, when the Krell appeared at the end of the corridor, the humans opened fire. The battle was chaos. Pulse rifles fired continuously until their power cells depleted. A Krell grabbed one of the engineers and threw him against the wall with bone-breaking force. Do-hyun shot the creature in the face 3 times, and it barely flinched before backhanding him across the corridor. Taiyang fought like a demon. He had spent years as a Marine, learning every dirty trick, every ruthless tactic. He used them all now. When his rifle ran out of power, he grabbed a welding torch. When that failed, he used his knife. When the knife broke, he used his fists. The Krell seemed almost amused. They were not trying to kill the humans quickly. They were enjoying the struggle, the way a cat might play with a mouse. That was their mistake. While they were focused on the fighting, they did not notice Jiho enter the section from a side corridor. The commander carried a device that looked like it had been built from spare parts and desperation. He placed it against the wall and activated it. "Taiyang!" Jiho shouted. "Get clear!" Taiyang understood immediately. He grabbed Do-hyun and dove through a side door. The remaining humans followed. The device was a shaped charge made from mining explosives. It blew out the entire section wall, exposing it to space. The Krell were caught in the blast, thrown out into the vacuum. Taiyang sealed the emergency door and collapsed against it, gasping for breath. His entire body hurt. He looked around at the survivors. Only 5 of them left now, and all were wounded. Did that stop them? Do-hyun asked. The answer came seconds later when they heard pounding on the hull. The Krell were outside the station, climbing along the exterior, looking for another way in. Jiho activated his communicator. "Yuna, how is the shuttle?" "Almost ready." "Another minute for the engines to warm up." "You do not have a minute." "Launch now." "But now." In the shuttle bay, Yuna made the decision. She closed the shuttle doors with Hana and the 6 cubs inside, then launched. The small ship shot away from the station, its engines burning at maximum power. Through the viewport, Hana watched Haven's edge grow smaller. She could see the damage, the breached sections, the Krell ships looming nearby like birds of prey. One of the cubs made a soft sound. Hana looked down to see the smallest one staring at the station. Tears were running down its face. It might not speak human language, but it understood what was happening. People were dying back there. Dying for them. "I am sorry," Hana whispered. "I am so sorry." Back on the station, Taiyang and his team were running. The Krell had found another breach point and were inside again, moving faster now, angry at the delay. "The shuttle launched," Jiho reported. "The cubs are away. Good." Taiyang checked his remaining ammunition. Almost nothing left. How far do they need to get before they are safe? Depends. If we can damage the Krell ships, they might not be able to pursue. And how do we damage ships that size with what we have left? Jiho looked at him with steady eyes. We do not, but we can damage something else. The station reactor. If we overload it, the explosion should be large enough to take the Krell ships with it. Taiyang understood what that meant. How much time would we have? 10 minutes from activation to detonation. Maybe 12 if we are lucky. That is enough time to reach the escape pods. For some of us, maybe. Not for all of us. Jiho smiled tiredly. I am the commander. The reactor controls are in my section. This one is mine, Taiyang. No, you get the others to the pods. I will activate the reactor. That is an order, Commander. Your job is to make sure those cubs know what happened here. My job is to buy you the time to do it. They heard the Krell coming closer, their heavy footsteps echoing through the corridors. Jiho saluted. It was the first time he had ever done so, outside of a formal ceremony. It has been an honor serving with you. The honor is mine. Taiyang returned the salute, then turned to run toward the reactor level. Behind him, Jiho gathered the remaining crew. Everyone to the pods. Move. Taiyang reached the reactor room and sealed the door behind him. His hands moved over the controls, entering the override codes. The reactor began to hum, power building beyond safe limits. 10 minutes. He heard them outside. The Krell pounding on the door. They knew what he was doing. Taeyang sat down with his back against the door, feeling each impact. His wounds hurt. He was tired, but he was not afraid. He thought about the 6 small aliens on the shuttle, flying to safety. He thought about Hana and Yuna protecting them. He thought about Do-Yun and the others who'd fallen defending them. Worth it, he said to himself. You were worth it. The pounding on the door grew more frantic. 9 minutes. 8 minutes remaining. Taiyang could hear them working on the door. The Krell were using tools now, cutting through the reinforced metal. He had welded the hinges shut and fused the access panel, but it would not hold forever. Nothing could hold them forever. He checked the reactor display. The power output was climbing steadily, well past the red line. At 10 minutes, it would reach critical mass. The explosion would vaporize everything within a kilometer. The station, the Krell ships, everything. He just had to make sure. They could not stop it in time. 7 minutes. Doing's voice crackled over his communicator. Sir, we are at the escape pods. Jiho is insisting we wait for you. Negative. Launch immediately. That is a direct order. But, Don, listen to me. You are a good officer. Better than I was at your age. Take care of those cubs, okay? Make sure they remember us. There was a long pause. Then, quietly, yes, sir. It has been an honor. The honor was mine, kid. The communicator went silent. On a small monitor, Taiyang saw the escape pods launching, small lights fleeing into the darkness. Jiho had gotten them out. Good. 6 minutes. The cutting sound stopped. For a moment, there was silence. Then a voice spoke, deep and resonant, coming through the door itself. Human, We know what you are doing." Taiyang was surprised. "You speak our language?" "We speak many languages. We have hunted across the galaxy for longer than your species has existed." The voice paused. "This is foolish. Even if you destroy our ships, more will come. The Velith cubs will be found. They will be hunted. Your sacrifice changes nothing. Maybe, but at least I tried." "Why?" "They are not your species. Not your kin. What are they to you?" Taiyang thought about that. What were they to him? 6 aliens he had met only hours ago. Children of a species he had never heard of until today. "They are kids," he said finally. "Scared kids who watched their whole world die. That is enough. Enough for what? Enough to be worth protecting. Enough to be worth dying for." The Krell made a sound that might have been confusion. "This concept. We do not understand it. To sacrifice yourself for prey that is not even your own. There is no logic in it. Not everything is about logic." 5 minutes. "We could offer you a deal," the Krell said. "Stop the reactor. Give us the cubs. In exchange, we will make you one of us. Krell warriors, you have proven yourself worthy. Your strength, your cunning. These are qualities we respect." Taiyang laughed, though it hurt his wounded ribs. "You want me to join you? To become a hunter of children? To become eternal? To live forever as a predator, not prey? Is this not what all species want? No, that is what you want. Humans want something different. What do humans want? To know that we mattered. That we made a difference. That when we were here, we made the galaxy a little bit better, not worse. That is a child's dream. Maybe, but it is our dream. And I would rather die for a dream than live without one." 4 minutes. The cutting started again, more frantic now. The Krell knew they were running out of time. Taiyang could see the door beginning to glow red as their tools burned through the metal. He thought about Earth, so far away. He had not been home in 3 years. His parents were probably asleep right now, not knowing their son was about to die on a station at the edge of space. He wondered if they would be proud. He hoped so. 3 minutes. A question. "Human," the Krell voice said, still cutting. "Do you have a name?" "Taiyang. Taiyang." The Krell pronounced it carefully. "I am Vrikish, first hunter of the Krell. In our tradition, when a worthy enemy falls, we honor them by speaking their name. Your name will be remembered, Taiyang. Your skull will hold a place of honor in our hall. Thanks, but I would rather you just forgot about me." "That is not possible. You have done something we have never seen before. You have made us afraid." "Afraid? Of me?" "Not of you specifically. Of what you represent. In our long existence, we have encountered countless species. Some fought us. Some fled. Some surrendered. But none have ever chosen certain death over simple compliance. None have ever valued the lives of prey over their own survival." 2 minutes. "It makes us wonder," Vrikish continued. "If one human will do this, what will others do? If your species spreads through the galaxy with this insanity, what will happen to the natural order?" Taiyang smiled despite the pain. "I guess you will find out." The door was almost through. He could see the cutting tool breaking through, melting the metal. Just a few more seconds, and they would be inside. 1 minute. "Taiyang!" Rach's voice was urgent now. "Stop this. There is still time. We can save you. You do not have to die." "Yes, I do. Those kids do not have anyone else. If I do not stand between you and them, who will? This is madness. This is humanity." 30 seconds. The door finally gave way. It crashed inward, and 3 Krell burst through. They were magnificent and terrible, their armor scorched from the fighting, their weapons ready. But their eyes showed something Taiyang had not expected to see. Fear. They rushed toward the reactor controls, trying to shut down the overload. But Taiyang had destroyed the manual controls. The only way to stop it now was to enter a code that existed only in the station's computer system. And that system was located in the command center, which was on the other side of the station. 20 seconds. Rakesh stood before Taiyang, towering over him. The Krell could have killed him with a single blow. Instead, the hunter knelt down to look Taiyang in the eyes. "I have hunted for 3,000 years, Rakesh said. "I have faced every challenge the galaxy has offered. I have never been bested. But today, a single human has beaten me. I did not beat you. I just did not lose. Is there a difference? To me there is. 10 seconds. One final question, human. Was it worth it? Dying for creatures you barely knew?" Taiyang thought about the shuttle, flying away to safety. He thought about Hana holding the cubs close. He thought about their small faces, frightened but alive. "Yes," he said. "It was worth everything." 5 seconds. Rakesh stood. He made a gesture that might have been a salute. "Then die well, Taiyang of humanity. You have earned a warrior's death." 3 seconds. Through the window, Taiyang could see stars. Somewhere out there, 6 small aliens were flying toward safety. Somewhere out there, Hannah and Yuna and the others were escaping. They would live. They would tell the story. 2 seconds. He closed his eyes and thought of his mother's smile, his father's laugh. The Earth he had left behind. Home. 1 second. The reactor went critical. The explosion was visible from 3 star systems away. Haven's Edge Station became a new star for just a moment, brilliant and terrible. The 3 Krell ships, caught in the blast radius, were torn apart by the force. In the escape pod, Jiho and the others watched through the viewport as the station they had called home vanished in light and fire. Do-hyun was crying. Several others were too. In the shuttle, much farther away but still close enough to see. Hannah held the 6 Velith cubs as they watched the distant explosion. One of the cubs made a soft sound, almost like singing. The others joined in, their voices rising and falling in a pattern that sounded like a funeral song. "What are they saying?" Yuna asked. Hannah shook her head. "I do not know. But I think they are saying goodbye." The light faded. The explosion dimmed. Where Haven's Edge had been, there was now only debris and silence. Taiyang was gone. Rakesh was gone. The Krell threat was ended, but the cost had been terrible. Hannah pulled up the last transmission from the station. It was the recording Minji had made, the one where the cubs spoke about themselves. She added a new message to it. "This is Dr. Hana of Haven's Edge. The station is destroyed. 27 crew members are dead, including Security Chief Taiyang. They died protecting 6 children of the Vela species from Krell hunters. I am sending this message so that the galaxy knows what happened here. So that the galaxy knows what humans are willing to do." She paused, looking at the cubs. "We do not know if we did the right thing. We do not know if it was worth it. We only know that when we were given a choice between safety and doing what was right, we chose right. That is what humanity is. That is what we will always choose." She sent the message out on all frequencies, a beacon carrying the story of Haven's Edge to anyone who would listen. In the darkness of space, the debris of the station slowly drifted apart. Among the wreckage was a single piece of metal, scorched and twisted. On it, barely readable, were the words, "Haven's Edge, Security Chief, Taiyang." It was all that remained of a man who had chosen to die rather than let children be hunted. It was enough. The galaxy would remember. 6 months later, Minji stood on the observation deck of a new station, looking out at the stars. This station was different from Haven's Edge. It was bigger, better defended, and filled with beings from dozens of different species. They called it Sanctuary. Behind her, the door opened. One of the Velith cubs entered. Not a cub anymore, really. 6 months of proper care and nutrition had helped them grow. This one, whose name in their language meant Morning Star, walked with more confidence now. Minji? The young Velith said in careful, practiced human language. Are you okay? Minji smiled. The cubs had been learning human language with remarkable speed. Morning Star was the best student. I am fine. Just thinking. About him? She did not need to ask who. Yes, always about him. Morning Star came to stand beside her. The young alien was almost 4 feet tall now, their gray fur thicker and healthier. They looked so different from the terrified child who had arrived on Haven's Edge. I remember that day, Morning Star said quietly. I remember the sounds of fighting, the fear, and then silence, and we were safe. You were worth it, Minji said. He believed that. They all did. I know. That is why we work so hard now. To be worthy of their sacrifice. It was true. The 6 Velith cubs had thrown themselves into learning and growing. They helped around the station, learned multiple languages, and trained in various skills. They were preparing themselves for something, though Minji was not sure what. The door opened again. Hannah entered, carrying a data tablet. Minji, you need to see this. Another species just refused a Krell demand. Which one? The Sorvith. They are a small civilization, only 20 systems. The Krell wanted to hunt their youth as part of a traditional harvest. The Sorvith said no. Minji took the tablet and read the report. It was the 18th species to refuse the Krell in the past 6 months. 18 species who had found the courage to stand up to the hunters who had terrorized the galaxy for millennia. It is spreading, Hannah said. Your message, the recording from Haven's Edge. It has gone viral across the galactic network. Everyone has seen it now. The message. Minji had sent it out that day. The recording of the cubs speaking combined with Hannah's testimony about what happened. But it was the security camera footage that had truly shocked the galaxy. Video of Taiyang and his team fighting impossible odds. Video of Dongyun wounded but still standing. Video of Jiho making the sacrifice play. And most importantly, video of Taiyang's final conversation with Vrakish. That dialogue had been picked up by the station sensors and included in the transmission. Do you know what they are calling him? Hannah asked. The Galactic Council has a new phrase now. They say someone has the Taiyang spirit when they refuse to back down from injustice. Minji shook her head in wonder. He would hate being famous. He just wanted to do the right thing. And because he did, the galaxy is changing. It was true. The Krell had filed formal complaints with the Galactic Council, demanding action against species who refused to honor traditional hunting agreements. But the Council had surprised everyone by siding against the Krell. The vote had been close. But in the end, the images from Haven's Edge had swayed enough representatives. How could they support a practice that required such sacrifice to resist? Yuna entered the observation deck, her face excited. You will not believe this. The Krell just sent a communication. They want to negotiate. Negotiate what? Minji asked. An end to the hunts. They are requesting a peace conference with the Galactic Council and representatives from all species who have refused their demands. Everyone was quiet for a moment, absorbing this information. The Krell, who had never negotiated with anyone, were asking for peace. Why? Hannah finally asked. Why now? Morning Star answered, their voice soft. Because they are afraid. Vrakish said it himself. If one human would sacrifice everything for alien children, what would millions of humans do? What would the galaxy do if everyone had the Taiyang spirit? A week later, Minji attended the peace conference as the representative for Sanctuary Station. The meeting was held on a neutral world, in a massive chamber filled with species from across the galaxy. The Krell delegation entered last. There were 5 of them, massive and intimidating even in a peace conference. The lead negotiator was not Vrakish. According to reports, Vrakish had died in the explosion. But this Krell carried themselves with similar authority. "I am Kelrith, voice of the Krell," the hunter announced. "I speak for my people in this matter." The conference moderator, an elderly being from a species called the Anther, gestured for them to continue. "For 3,000 years, the Krell have followed our nature. We are predators. We hunt. It is what we are." Kelrith paused, looking around the chamber. "But we are also intelligent. We can learn. We can adapt. What are you proposing?" The moderator asked. "The hunts will end. All agreements that allowed Krell to take prey from other species are void. We will find new challenges, new ways to test ourselves that do not require the death of innocents." The chamber erupted in noise. Species who had suffered under Krell hunts for generations could not believe what they were hearing. "Why?" someone shouted. "Why change now?" Kelrith was silent for a long moment. Then they activated a holographic display. It showed the security footage from Haven's Edge. Taiyang, standing in front of the reactor, talking with Vrakish. "Because one human showed us something we had never seen before," Kelrith said. "True courage. Not the courage of a predator hunting prey, but the courage of someone protecting the weak, knowing they will die for it. The courage to value others more than yourself." The chamber was silent now, everyone watching the footage. Vrakish was our greatest hunter. He had never been bested in 3,000 years. But he died on that station, killed by a human who had no chance of victory. In his final report, transmitted just before the explosion, Vrakish said something that has changed our entire species. Kelrith played the audio. Vrakish's voice, deep and thoughtful. "I have met a human named Taiyang. He is going to kill me, not because he is stronger, but because he will not surrender what he protects. I have never encountered such strength of will." If this is what humanity is, if this quality spreads through the galaxy, then the age of the Krell is over. We must adapt or face extinction from species who value honor over survival. The recording ended. Kelrith looked around the chamber. "So we adapt. We change. We find a new path. Because the alternative is to face a galaxy full of beings with the Taiyang spirit. And that is a battle we cannot win." The peace treaty was signed that day. The Krell agreed to end all hunting of sentient species. They would face penalties and oversight. They would have to find new ways to live. But the galaxy had changed. 3 months after the conference, Sanctuary Station held a memorial service. The 6 Velith, now all speaking fluent human language, stood before a monument they had designed themselves. It was a simple stone pillar with names carved into it. 27 names. The crew of Haven's Edge who had died protecting 6 children they barely knew at the top. In large letters, Security Chief Taiyang. Morningstar stepped forward and placed a small object at the base of the monument. It was the memory device they had been carrying when they were found, containing images of their lost family. "We place this here," Morningstar said, speaking clearly so everyone could hear, to show that our families, both lost and found, will never be forgotten. Taiyang and his crew became our family when they chose to protect us. They are gone, but their choice echoes through the galaxy. The other 5 Velith added their own objects. Photos, trinkets, memories of what they had lost and what they had gained. Minji watched with tears in her eyes. Hana stood beside her, along with Yuna and the other survivors from Haven's Edge. Da-Hyun was there too, his arm healed, but still carrying scars from that day. "Do you think he would be proud?" Da-Hyun asked quietly. Of what we built here? Minji looked at Sanctuary Station, at the dozens of species living and working together, at the refugee children from 6 different civilizations, all safe and cared for, at the galaxy that had found the courage to stand up to its monsters. Yes, she said. I think he would be very proud. That night, Minji returned to her quarters and opened a private file. It was a message she had been writing for months, adding to it bit by bit. She finally felt ready to finish it. Dear Taiyang, she wrote, 6 months ago, you told me that the cubs were worth protecting. You were right. But you were worth something too. You were worth remembering. You were worth honoring. And your choice, your sacrifice, was worth everything it cost. The galaxy is different now. Not perfect. Not free from all dangers. But better. Because of you and the others who stood with you. I run Sanctuary Station now. We protect children from across the galaxy. Any species, any situation. We have a security team trained in new tactics. We have medical staff following Hannah's protocols. We have communication specialists following Yuna's example. Everything we do because you showed us it was possible. The Veleth cubs ask about you constantly. They want to know everything. What you like to eat. What made you laugh. What your childhood was like. I tell them what I know, but I wish I knew more. I wish I had asked more questions when I had the chance. Morning Star is especially curious. They have decided to train in security.